recording, but what do you want to talk about? Did you think anything of my suggestions?
Oh, I mean, we could do like, I wouldn't say like our top 10, but we could talk. I say we just, we could talk about some cringy videos. Like you're talking like the. See, I don't know. Like I don't want to see like the worst metal videos
Oh,
because,
hell yeah.
well, I mean, because a lot of the videos they're bad because they're a product of the time, because the one that pops into my head when I think of just like really cringy like hard rock metal videos is like autographs turn up the radio.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one.
Yeah, because I watched it the other day. I'm like, oh my god, like the whole like nothing looks good about it. Like there's
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned videos because I told you I had this app on my Roku thing that I didn't know it was on there. And I looked at it, it's videos. And at the time, when I had the girlfriend at the time, we watched some videos one night. It was just mostly 80s videos, but really obscure, like Bronski Beat, that kind of shit from the 80s that no one really knows about as much.
Yeah. Is it a little better? I don't know. I'll try to keep the mic a little closer to my.
At least you're not
mouth hole.
Yeah, that's good right there.
Right there. Okay, I won't move. I won't move an inch.
Excellent. Yeah, at least you're not in a golf park or a cemetery this time, huh? With airplanes and crickets and.
Oh man, no, we got there's a really cool cemetery where I'm at right now.
Where are you at? You're in Wyoming now?
Yeah, Lander, Wyoming.
You're on the run from the law, so you've been in Salt Lake, Vegas, and now Wyoming?
Yeah, in the course of what, 3 months? Not too shabby.
Now you're in Skinwalker territory, so you better be careful.
No, I don't think. Well, I think everywhere Skinwalker territory.
Anything remote with woods, where there's a strong American native influence, you're playing with fire, buddy.
I think you meant Native American.
Well, what's the difference? Native American, American native?
I don't know. I guess there's no difference. Yeah, no, there is. There's a reservation not too far from here. There's some casinos, but
when I was on the oil rigs out in 9 Mile Canyon, which is remote Vernal, Utah.
Oh yeah. That's where isn't that where Skinwalker Ranch is?
Oh yeah, totally. And Skinwalker Ranch is not too far from there, I don't think. Or
yeah, it's.
Well, anyway, I worked out there with a bunch of redneck hillbilly guys. We all lived on a barracks in the middle of nowhere. You didn't see any city lights, nothing from where we were at. All you could see was just darkness. It was fucking brutal.
Sounds heavenly.
And those guys were like scared shitless of the Skinwalkers. Like I didn't know what they were back then, but yeah, I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, pretty freaky.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a pretty cool little folklore. I think it's the Wendigo or the Skinwalkers. I don't know. Like I'm one of those people that like I'm not afraid of them because I kind of want.
Guy.
No, not that I'm a tough guy. It's like I want it to exist, but I'm always so disappointed with everything I want to happen because it never happens that I just figure that, well, the fact that I want ghosts to exist means that I'll probably never ever see one because it's just one disappointment after another. This fucking life. But no, last night I went for a walk like at midnight up to the graveyard because the graveyard is on top of a big hill and it just overlooks the city. It's really cool.
Well, that's cool. You go up there and take some pictures, take some band photos.
I took a picture of like a mausoleum. Is that what they call it? A mausoleum? The big squares made out of concrete. Is that a mausoleum or is that something else?
A mausoleum is like the room where you put the body inside of it.
Okay, so yeah, so there's like
a pedestal and you can put the coffin in there. It's a traditional mausoleum. It's like a little cement building, or
okay,
one would be a crypt where you keep like multiple graves, like a family burial.
Okay, so that's the difference between a crypt and a mausoleum is the amount of people in there. Yeah, so it was a mausoleum. Or maybe it was a crypt. Maybe it's reverse.
They're probably the same thing. Not to
Yeah,
be confused with a charnel house, which is around like the Dark Ages, where they just take your bones and just neatly stack them in a charnel house. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then they just leave them there. And yeah, you see those in Europe, right? I mean, if you think about it, like the
yeah,
catacombs are like a big charnel house, right?
like the churches and stuff, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and the catacombs, right?
Now we had talked about that when I told you about the group Zero Comma, which was like ritual music, a couple of episodes ago. I think it's one of the ones I just actually it's the last episode I just posted. So because we're kind of staggered the episodes out, but it's the one I just posted was where we were talking about. I was talking about Zero Comma, the band. There, it's not a band proper. It's like one person who's like a magician.
Yeah, and like
But they
some type.
robbed some graves out in Austria, and they took bones out of a charnel house and made instruments out of the human bones, and thus recorded their album, which was gave it like a serious like morbid credibility, which I always found fascinating. Far more not evil per se, but just far more dark or sinister than any black metal musician ever. But I
Yeah,
brought that up because I just bought the box sets. This person who does Zero Comma, they had a record label. They released a box set of all of their releases on vinyl, and it had a book with it. And the book explained in detail like the grave robbings. And there was also a group in England who did that did some grave robbings. They got caught, and but they were mentioning how some metal bands were fascinated by that and put that in their music. And one of them was Rotting Christ, and one of them was Hate Eternal. I was like, Hate Eternal. They actually sampled that person's music, Zero Comma, in their music. And Rotting Christ, of course, being from Greece, are probably far more connected with the esoteric. And you had
yeah,
another band called Ripping Corpse that was from America, and that was actually, I believe, Eric
that
Rutan's
was.
first band.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was basically the precursor of Hate Eternal.
Yeah, Ripping Corpse, and I remember I had their album, and like the cover of it was really strange because it was had a guy with parts of his skin peeled off in some kind of magical like sitting Indian style with his arms up in like the middle of a jungle. And that's a weird death metal cover, you know. It's not some
And
eviscerated corpse or something. I'm like, what's that all about?
it's Dreaming with the Dead is the album.
And that title, Dreaming with the Dead. Yeah, I remember that. I used to have that. I don't know what happened to it. Someone stole it, or I gave it to someone, or whatever. But I noticed in the thank you list that band, Ripping Corpse, they thanked Zero Comma as well. So I was like, aha, interesting. So now it all makes sense. And then they put out a second album, Ripping Corpse. I cannot remember the name of that record, but it's also maybe I can bring it up on BNR Metal pages right here. I got it up.
Yeah, I don't know if they had a
No,
Dreaming with the Dead industry.
sure. Well, according to this, okay, I think what it was is they didn't have a second record, but it was the same band more or less. But they had an album out, but that band name, or I can't remember. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Dim Mac, Dimmak, 2 words.
Dim Mac.
That's another band they did after this album. But what that is, that's also a magical term, and I can't quite remember off the top of my head what that means. It's like
It's a martial art.
yeah. It's something like that, but it's a state of it's this mental state in martial arts where you reach it and you're like out of your body, kind of, so to speak, or something to that effect. I can't remember now, but anyway, Dim Mac. So that band, they were really into magic, and that's mainly because of Zero Comma, that band we were talking about. They're really influential. But under the
I don't
radar.
know. I don't think Dim Mac's really into magic. I think they're really into like karate. Because like
Well, that's the thing though, is when you're in
they're out. They have like an
there's
album title, Enter the Dragon. Dim Mac,
yeah.
Intercepting Fist. Like
But my point is they're coming from Ripping Corpse with all of that, the magical stuff, but then Dim Mac is like a more magical, like, or I say a mental state of mind, mental like discipline of some sort where you're somewhat out of your body. It's hard to explain in words. You have to look it up and read about it, but all of that kind of connects. And just like with martial arts, they believe the chi, which is, most people call it your soul, or they believe in a chi or your life force or your there are plenty of other terms, Kia, stuff like the Coil. Like, do you know who Coil is? They're an industrial band, a really old one from the 80s.
Not terribly.
Probably don't know them, but you probably have heard of them. Coil, they were known as those Kia before
Here
they
we go.
Coil.
Dimmak is depicted as a secret body of knowledge with techniques that attack pressure points and meridians, said to incapacitate and sometimes cause immediate or even delayed death to an opponent. So it's like the touch of death.
Yeah, yeah. So all of that kind of
Oh,
coincides with magic and like certain
hi.
aspects of magic, so, and some parts of it. But Zost Kia was the name of Coil before they changed their name to Coil, and that band got their album released on Nekrophile Rekords, which is the label in question, fronted by the Zero Comma person, whose name is Michael DeWitt, now known as Zoe DeWitt. Totally interesting. I'm always fascinated by that, and because I encountered this music by accident, I found it to be so interesting because it was the real deal, but it wasn't metal at all. But tons of metalheads have been influenced by it. So it's out there, and like there are bands who practice magic, and some of it dark or light if you like. But I mean, there's no real black or white magic. It's just magic and what you do with it. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that was a interesting tangent. But Zero Comma is the main band, and apparently Rotting Christ, Hate Eternal, and a few others that I know of, Ripping Corpse, of course, are all influenced by them.
Zero Comma? Is it COMMA or what?
No, Kama, like Kama Sutra, Kama.
Oh,
That's the name of the artist. It was Michael DeWitt, a guy from Austria. He's now a woman known as Zoe DeWitt.
Zoe. Okay.
But he made these things back in the 80s, like in the mid 80s. He was doing this stuff, and it was really underground for industrial, just like underground metal, but underground industrial. And that's when you met all these other bands like Coil, who are arguably the most popular of like that genre, of old industrial, like Coil, Throbbing Gristle, SPK, Current 93, of course. And then Nurse with Wound is another big one. They're all like really take Picasso and like apply that to music. That's what most of that stuff sounds.
I've heard of Nurse with Wound. I mean,
that's where the term industrial comes from, and it does not mean techno with German vocals, poppy synth pop. That's not at all what industrial used to be. It used to be what we're talking about here. That was industrial. It became just like metal. It's like an expansive term that means everything now. If you say metal, one guy thinks of Iron Maiden, another one thinks of Dark Throne, and so on. But
yeah, it's infuriating.
It makes you mad?
No, it doesn't really.
So I think you should check out some of that. I know you probably won't like enjoy it musically, but it's really interesting stuff.
What, Zero Comma?
Yeah.
Or Nurse Wound, or okay. Yeah, I'll check out Zero Comma. Whatever.
No, Zero Comma, I have that. I could send you that stuff. Like, you probably won't like it because it's like mostly like wind instruments, but they are made from human bones. That alone gives it like the interest to listen to it. And like drums, and there's no electronics, but they do a lot of chants with their voice, like an like that. But then he does a lot of tape tricks and like tape manipulations to make it all sound like different.
So it looks like I mean it's I have it on the streaming. So
it's some of the creepiest things.
Which one do you recommend? The Secret Eye of Laylah.
Laylah.
Or how about?
That's really the only one. That's the main album. There's like a small EP and just a bunch of re-released, like just.
There's like a Zero Comma. It looks like there's almost like a best of, I suppose, album that has like 26 songs listed on it. Death Posture, Atavism, Dream, Night of Matter, Inauguration of Pleasure.
Yeah, that's all the album. That's the only thing they've ever recorded, unless she has now unearthed some of her newer material. But I don't think there was any other material. That's according to the book. So unless it's just live, there's like a live album, so it could be multiple live tracks and stuff. But Anyway, I'd say The Secret Eye of Layla. You can listen to that, and there's a compilation called The Archangels of Sex that he released, which has the various artists. And that's the one I first heard, and it was really just interesting collage of music, and just all of it was just magic based. It was so weird. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, what is this? And it really spoke to me. And like, I was an avid atheist hater of everything, and like magic's stupid, but that got me interested in it. And then you learn that it's not really, magic isn't really the stuff to do with religion per se, like praying and stuff like that. You're not like making stuff go presto, $1 million just appeared on my table. Like, no, it's not like that. The idea is you get into a deep trance state, you practice your magic, like you put your mind out there, and you can affect change in the world. And that's also the Church of Satan teaches you magic like that. He just takes like the stripped down approach of like without all the chanting and all of that, and tells you what to do basically. So that's a little bit lesser known part of the Church of Satan, but they do practice magic like that. The idea is you can either help someone.
It's like a dark version of The Secret, kind of. It's just, isn't it all just sort of like a kind of manifestation, affirmations, manifestations kind of thing, right? You put your intent out, and it in some way
it's
ritualize
like
it, and then the universe sort of assembles itself to.
You can sort of, and actually karma, not karma, but karma, you can say that's kind of what it's like in a way. I don't really believe karma the way people usually think of it, but if you put something out there where you curse someone to die, and let's say that actually happens, and you don't know what you're doing, and that shit can come back on you. You can send, if you send bad thoughts out to somebody, that's why people say don't dwell on it, because then you can kind of feel you're getting it back. It sounds
no, it's that cliche. It's not even a cliche. It's just actually a great quote, which is like, it's like you eating poison to kill someone else. You know what I mean? Right? I don't know what the exact quote was, but it's like, but that's sort of like,
well, the idea is
holding a grudge is like
Church of Satan. You have a destruction ritual. You can put some like barbed wire out there or some poison arrows to someone you hate. Like, for example, my old employer, Cup Bop, because they fired everyone unceremoniously because they're corrupt as fuck. So let's say I throw that out there.
I know you did. And then I went there and ate there after you threw that out there, and got the shits.
That's because they have inferior food. That's not my fault. That's like, although you could argue that because I got their customers sick, and that's going to put them out of business. But that isn't really. That's the thing, is you have to be specific. It's like you say go over there and bring me that, and okay, well, go over where and bring you what? Go over to that corner of the room and bring me that pencil, that orange pencil sitting right there. Okay, you got to be like really specific with what you want, and you got to turn it off, so to speak. So if you put your energy out there, you have to put a lot of work into it, but then you have to turn that off and kind of sever your connection with that metaphysical world, so to speak, which is why you need to be in a big trance in the first place. This is really simplistic explanation. So it's a lot more complicated than this, but this is like the magic for dummies kind of thing here. But you want to turn it off, because if you don't, then that still keeps going. Like you're still sending out your body. And like, here's the thing: do you believe that you have an aura around your body?
It's one of those things that's like, I want to believe I do.
Well, you do. Your body makes.
Right. I mean, there's radiation, and the fact that we only see in like a fraction of the actual, wavelength of light. I know there's, if you look at me in the infrared, I'm going to be glowing in infrared, right? So.
Like your body has its own energy. Like you have like an energy field around you. That's there because you can feel it when you get close to other people, or like if you're at the post office or the grocery store, you can tell when someone's like right up on your ass, because you're like, what the fuck? You turn around, there's someone right there. It's because they have a little energy field and you have one, and they're kind of mingling. And if it's somebody who's weird and kind of
it gives you the heebie-jeebies.
They're like really skittish and have like anxious energy, then you can kind of pick up on that. Or that's why you get a weird gut feeling about people when you're around them, not because you have a gut feeling. you just you get that. You have like an energy like there. It's a normal thing. It's not like magical or anything. People have
No,
it.
no,
Everyone does. Cats do. Animal. That's why dogs bark at you. At certain people, dogs don't like. Other people like me, dogs come right at me no matter who they are and wag their tail, and it's just a thing. So you're using that energy when you use magic and you're sending it out there to do either good or bad. I recommend staying away from the bad if you don't know what you're doing. But the good is kind of like same thing though. You gotta like really focus on what it is that you want and like pigeonhole it to like one specific thing. You can't go make me rich and then that's it. You gotta say make my book that I just wrote become an international bestseller and make me lots of money or whatever the fuck. But even then, it's not going to just like happen overnight one day. It's going to happen in like bits and pieces. It's going to be like something.
Yeah, no, it's going to lay out the steps, and then you got to be aware enough to see when those steps are being kind of laid out before
it's like
you.
That.
It'll give you breadcrumbs.
Yeah, it comes in little pieces. So like you put your magic out there for your book to succeed, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you bump into somebody at a restaurant, you start talking about the food, but then you somehow get on the topic, oh, I'm a publisher. Oh, really? I have a book I just wrote. Something like that. Things like that. It's little steps.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of almost like a universal.
And that's me as a novice. Like I'm not a pro by any chance, but I'm just saying like there are probably people who can actually are more attuned to that and do that. I learned a lot of this from a girl who is now what we call a Trump nut. I told you this story a while ago. She.
Oh no! Wait, what you call a Trump nut? What I call just a normal person.
No. There's normal people and there's fucking Trump nuts. Like she was like off the deep end. Like
she's
crazy.
single. She sounds like my type.
Yeah, no, she's not your type. Trust me.
Really?
I know you're being funny and like there are
no,
people.
I'm not, dude.
I'm totally down with like voted for Trump that thought he was going to make some change, and you were one of them. Okay, whatever. That's that. I'm talking about nuts who are still to this day like crazy, like just obsessed, even after it's like the veil has been ripped away. But point is we talked about this girl. She was in Dugway, Utah. We were talking over chat, and she sent energy.
Sounds hot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm down.
You're a real funny guy.
Send her my way, dude.
We actually met on a single site. That was the thing is I wasn't really that interested. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then she came to meet me once, and it just wasn't a thing. But she actually said I'm not conservative enough for her. So
Hey.
Anyways, the point is I had this pocket knife. I recounted the story earlier. On one of the shows up actually, and she sent a pulse of energy, and I was mocking her like, yeah, whatever. I didn't believe magic. I like, whatever, it's stupid. And she sent it and I felt it in my hand. This is over chat on the internet. We're in different parts of the state. And she says, did you feel that? Without me saying a word. I'm like, what? Feel what? And she's like, did you feel that energy in the knife that you're holding in your hand? I'm like, yeah, I did actually. I'm like, do it again. And she did it again. And then she did it again after that. But little by little it went away because she's losing her energies. But I was like, holy shit. So from there,
so she was able to kind of get you to really almost believe in magic, but she can't she can't even get you to take another look at Trump, huh? Maybe see if you missed something.
All I miss is he's a bigger asshole than I thought he was, and you need to like just get off of that because that guy's
like this woman can send a fucking pulse of energy into to your pocket knife.
Well, that doesn't mean
and you're going to totally dismiss her political views, but like, come on, she's got to know she's
her views are like
she's in tune with something, right?
The cops don't break the law. Like, well, okay, if you break the law, the cops shouldn't kneel on your fucking skull and hold you there for 30 minutes, or.
Cops suck, dude. I mean, there's no law so trivial they won't murder you.
Well, I'm just saying that's your simplistic view of the world when you're a person like that. It's not quite that simple. Just like with magic, like we're talking about, like. There's my point. But anyways, I don't want to talk politics because you're never going to learn because you're an imbecile, politically speaking. But
yes, complete idiot.
Yeah, I know. You think that about me, but that's why I don't want to talk politics because I don't want to have to school you on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, who ran for office here and who didn't? Thank
you. Did you run for office?
You knew that.
For what? What did you?
Did you not know this?
No, this
It
is
was because of Trump's America that I was fed up, and I thought this is when I got fired from Cup Pop. I was sitting there crying in my beer, and I was like, these kids in Florida all got shot up at that school. It was like the Emma Gonzalez girl, the one with the shaved head.
Oh yes. Whatever happened to her? You don't see her a lot. You see that
Well,
little
they're all
hog.
still activists. They're all still very active in
Well,
like,
no, I see
and
David
like,
Hogg everywhere. That little shit. But I don't see. I don't know what happened to her. She disappeared, dude.
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, there or maybe I don't know.
I think she got
I
taken out, man. I think
no didn't get
this
taken out.
whatever psyop she was a part of, they basically closed down that conduit. But
There you go. So she got shot at in the school, and now you're making her sound like the enemy. That's why people don't like Trump people. Right there.
yeah. But what office did you run for?
No, don't change the subject. We're talking about you being a bad guy.
I'm a bad guy. Yeah, I'm a horrible person.
Well, anyways, that happened, and I was sitting there listening to that on the news, and then I watched those kids. They were getting death threats from people in general, as well as the NRA and all this stuff. And they went right up to the White House and the NRA and said, "Fuck you. We're against you. We're taking you down." I was like, "Fuck yeah! Look at these guys, man." And I thought,
I don't like the NRA. I don't like the NRA either.
Well, I'm sitting here crying in my beer about this job. I was busting my ass, and they fucked me over. And I'm like, why am I just sitting here? I was on unemployment at the time. I'm like, look at these guys. Like, I can do something. Like, what am I doing sitting here like this, crying over this? So that's how I got involved in politics. There was a guy here in Salt Lake named Jim DeBacchus, who strangely enough was a gay man. And you don't see that very much in Utah because that would be squashed. But he was, I can't remember, he was just a senator. Yeah, he was a senator, and he had this thing on the internet where you could come meet him and he'd show you what to do, how to run for office. So I went down and did it. And I met a lot of people. Like, I met this punk rock girl who's friends with all these people in the punk scene, and turns out she knows people from Insight and all these old bands. I was like, holy shit. So there were a lot of young people there, especially a lot of counterculture people running for office.
There's a whole lot of
But
good.
I ended up running on, like, my thing, my basis was going to be education. I don't know. It's like I went around to schools and talked to teachers and.
Like, I don't know. Good.
Well, the biggest thing I was pissed off about was racism. That's always been my thing. I've never been really a victim of it so much, other than being in Salt Lake, and it was white people who were calling me Mexican and wetback and stuff like that. I'm like,
I know when
clearly
you're a greasy Italian.
Yeah, I'm a greasy fucking Dago wop guinea pig ass and pizza eating lasagna. Yeah. That's the thing too, is everybody has cliche shit about Italians. You never see Italians getting pissed off because all anybody says when you say Italian, oh, it's a meatball or the Godfather. They start quoting the Godfather. Like, fuck you. Fuck the Godfather. I did not see that movie.
Or just some Guido though. Like, I mean, I like the Guido thing.
I'm actually a Godfather myself. Like, the real meaning of a Godfather is when something happens to a relative, you got to take over. So if my brother ever had an accident, I'd have to raise his kid. His kid's an adult now, so I'm kind of off the hook. But
yeah. So now you don't care what happens to your brother. Like, yeah, you can fucking whatever.
You're just jealous.
And no one in my family trusts me enough to be a godfather. They're like, "There's
Godfather. You're a motherfucker."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just too far, man.
Oh man.
It's just too
it's
cruel, man.
Well, anyways, I ran for office. It was for the House of Representatives in West Jordan because that's where I lived at the time. And I kind of didn't really know what I was doing, but I was up there speaking on a pedestal in front of like giant rooms full of people. I was like, what the fuck am I doing up here talking about politics to giant assemblies of people from the public? What the hell am I? What happened to me? Who am I? It was funny. But I went.
You're not a politician, dude. You're too principled and.
Well, that's the idea. Is you have principles, you run for office, and you want to change that shit.
Yeah, like
point, but
no one with principles runs for office and wins.
Well, they do. They just either don't win, or if they do, people blackball them to be like crazy lunatics, and that's kind of what's going on right now. So, And you're defending Trump. He's the most corrupt, fucking lying piece of shit that's ever been on the planet, not even outside and inside of politics. So
yeah, clearly, yes.
Yeah, clearly. Like what? Be a smart aleck, but tell me why. Why am I wrong?
Why are you right? You're
It's
making the
obvious.
accusation.
Right.
You
Tell
gotta
me shit that's going on right
no,
now.
he's a liar.
Like 10 different things.
He was a horrible president, but it was
Selling secrets to the Russians, like buddying up with every dictator on the planet, like being a whooped pussy little bitch ass to all of them. Putin, he's Putin's bitch. Give me a break. What has Trump done? It's good. Nothing. Not a fucking thing.
Didn't get us into any wars.
He what?
My thing is war, dude. I'm anti-war. So his war record is better than any president we've had in the last 50 years.
Well, okay, like what did we have to go to war for while he was president, other than the shit that he was going to cause?
Why are we in a proxy war with Ukraine right now? Why are we just giving them about $1 trillion?
Because Trump's buddy Putin invaded them for no reason.
For no reason?
Well, whatever his bullshit reasons are. What? Why? What did they do?
Dude,
what did Ukraine do to Russia? They deserve to be like invaded and like women and children are being killed.
Dude, it's very complicated. I'm not saying that
it's not a
guy, dude.
Just invading it to flex their testicles.
You think they just invaded just arbitrarily? You don't think there was like some dispute?
I'm sure there's some
that go way back.
Political bullshit to it, but I mean, it's just like China and Tibet. China's pissed off because they want Hong Kong and Tibet to be back in the part of China. And if you look back,
they got Hong Kong
before
back.
COVID,
you know
remember that riot that was going on in China? You remember that?
China got Hong Kong. The British gave Hong Kong back to China like 20 years ago.
No, well, I'm saying Hong Kong wanted to be they wanted to be back on their own, and China was resisting that. But I think that was...
Yeah, so why don't we go to war with China over that? Why are we, if it's a similar situation to the Russia thing, why didn't we intervene with China, the Uyghurs, Hong Kong, in Taiwan?
I'm sure there's some skullduggerous reasons with all of that, but usually there's like an errand of mercy or something, like with Kosovo and all of that stuff back in the day. But
we fucked everything up with Kosovo, Somalia, Kuwait, Libya, dude. We just
and then 9/11 happened, which if you believe that's an inside job or not, like 9/11 happened, then all of a sudden the U.S. goes to Iraq. Like, what did Iraq have to do with anything? Nothing. It was just to get through.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Oh, we have victory. Like, why do we have victory? What did they have to do with it? And because
we were lied into Iraq, just like we're lied into just about every war we've ever been in. I mean, you could even go back to World War II and see there was some kind of shady shit going on. Like we knew that the Japanese were going to attack. We didn't say anything. Like they didn't mention anything about Pearl Harbor. To the people at Pearl Harbor. Like, but
and when we went to
there were intelligence that knew that could have stopped that Pearl Harbor attack, but they wanted to get into the war. That was our entry point.
You know that when we went to Iraq after 9/11, taking out Saddam Hussein was one of the worst things you could have done, because that's why ISIS suddenly became so prominent.
Yeah, and then guess what?
Hey,
and then what did we do? We armed ISIS in Syria. Well, so we created ISIS, and then
and that always goes to
and then we end up aligning with them. So
whoever's in charge, it's just
let's get off this bullshit. War is
politics. You know what I think? What I really think is there are some kind of insidious aliens who are like making this shit happen over and over again, and they're just keeping people down because they want to keep people as slaves.
Sure.
That's my Star Trek response to all of politics. I'm like, yeah, there's some evil race of aliens, and like the politicians are in cahoots, or even they are aliens, some of them.
The lizard people. I mean, look at them.
Right? Dave Icke, huh?
Yeah, I don't. Is that who came up with the lizard people?
I think he's the one I think like did the most prominent Saurian reptilian guy. Yeah, I don't know. Well, anyway, so we started off talking about videos. I was saying before
I missed you, man.
On this tangent is I have this thing on my Roku device called Excite. And I was watching the videos, there was like 80 stuff, but then I saw all of a sudden like, oh, they got a metal station. So I turned it on, all this really old, crusty old stuff like Quiet Riot, Blue Oyster Cult, Kiss, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. There's a lot of glam, like Extreme was on there, Dangerous Toys was on there. Like you would love it if you have any kind of like a I don't know, whatever you use to get your TV or whatever, if you do streaming, but like I have a Roku and it's on there. It's XITE, Excite videos. A lot of Tesla, a lot of Bon Jovi. Like I'll skip stuff. You can only skip like 4 or 5 videos and it makes you stop. And you have to watch it unless you buy it. But there's so many old videos on there. Like some of them are really, really cool. Like some old Blue Oyster Cult, that old Rush video that I was telling you about. It was just an early warning, I think.
Oh yeah, dude.
You remember that song? That's the one I was trying to tell you, but I couldn't remember the video. It was Red Alert, Red
Yeah,
Alert.
yeah.
And it was like this really weird video, but there was like that album, Grace Under Pressure by Rush, I think, wasn't it?
That's a cool album. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Rush albums. Like
I actually like that Rush album. That's weird because I'm not a huge Rush fan, but everybody says, "Oh, you hate Rush, don't you?" I'm like, actually, I like this one album, and everybody goes, "Oh, that's their one really crazy keyboard one from back in their old early years." You know?
Not really. Like, I mean, even in their like most keyboard era, they were still Rush. Like, and like a Rush fan knows that. Like, dude, I loved it.
Well, you hear that now. That's the thing. But like when you're in that time and like a band comes out and slightly modifies their sound, like say Kiss with the glammy stuff or Judas Priest with Turbo, Iron Maiden somewhere in time, it puts you off because you're so used to Number of the Beast or.
Which blows my mind because like I don't
But
know
you
because
look back on it, it's cool, it's heavy. You're like, oh, that's not really that different.
like
But at the time,
I've said it a million times with Turbo. Like it's as good as like it sounds like a damn Priest album. Like the songs are pretty dark. They're not like I mean there's some kind of hooky stuff, but it's I don't know. It sits just fine next to like Defenders of the Faith or and the same with Kiss, dude. Like you talk about their glam era. Starting with what when they took their makeup off, Lick It Up and Animalize, of course. You don't maybe get on my Animalize soapbox again, but and Revenge and it's
well, what
good
about
shit.
those?
Like they're good Kiss albums. Like I guess I never really got into like and then when you listen to like Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son of the Seventh Son with Maiden, like it just sounds like a good Maiden album to me. Like I was never one of those people that's like I mean, and I know there were those ones out there that like, you know, there's a reason bands had to put on their albums that no keyboards were used during this album. Da, 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 da. But I was one that just rolled with it. Like if I liked a band, I'd let them go ahead and that's the thing with like Rush fans. Most of the Rush fans kind of when they started getting into the keyboard and the synth stuff, there was a few that dropped out, but most of them just like, yeah, let's see where this goes. And that's I think the way to look at it, like a great band. If you're a huge fan of it, and they start to kind of adjust their sound. Just kind of like give it a second. Let's see what happens. What are they doing here? Give them that freedom to.
Well, okay, you got to put it into context a little bit too. You got to think in the 80s, metal was new. It was a
Mhm.
new form of music. So when you're used to all these bands coming out with these chuggy heavy metal songs like Living After Midnight, Another Thing Coming, Lick It Up, or probably before Lick It Up, or just whatever, Iron
Well,
Maiden, Number of the Beast, then all of a sudden they all start to
yeah.
change. There's like more prevalent glam and glam rock. Some of your bands you like start kind of going glam or at least modifying their sound, like Turbo. It
Mhm.
throws you off a little bit because it's different. But then, of course,
Well,
now
no. Well, and to me, like it's precisely for that same reason. It was new, so it was wide open. If you ask me, like, so
well, I'm
maybe
just
that's
saying you have a
that's the
linear
other side of it.
perception of what the bands are going to be. Like heavy metal was always like black leather and spikes, studs and leather, and like monsters and demons and Satan. All of a sudden, everybody has long teased hair, some glammy makeup, costumes, like these Sergeant Pepper costumes, or like pink and glitter, and
Yeah,
they're singing about their dicks. Like, wait a minute, like.
yeah. They made it. They made it. They brought a little bit of fun. A
And
little.
that's why I keep saying, like, when Celtic Frost, here we go again with that one, when they did Cold Lake, being the godfathers of black metal and thrash, really, arguably, look at what happened. It blew
Oh
up in
yeah,
their faces.
kind of ruined them.
But
Even
again,
though, like
like
I said,
going
it
back,
still sounds
and I got to
like
tell you this too is going back, and I haven't heard Cold Lake all the way through, but I was listening to Pandora the other night, and this Celtic Frost song I've never heard from Vanity Nemesis, which I never bought that record. You can't find it. I don't have it. I was like, this is really good. Who is this? I go to my phone. It's fucking Celtic Frost from Vanity Nemesis, the one after Cold Lake. I was like, holy shit, this is fucking good. Why don't I have this album? So now I'm like, well, shit. Maybe they should re-release those after all. I mean, maybe they're still a
yeah,
good
the
record, you know. It's just at that time when they did what they did, it totally just blew it up, you know. You're like, what the fuck's going on with my favorite band? Where's Circle of the Tyrants? What's Cherry Orchard? What is this? And so
yeah,
same like Kiss. When Kiss did Asylum, I'm like, this just isn't doing it for me, man. It's just look at those costumes. They're wearing rouge makeup and like, what is this? And
dude, one of my favorite. Okay, well, here we go. Let's cringy video. Here's another cringy video outside of the autograph. Turn up the radio, but Who Wants to Be Lonely? You seen that video?
oh, like Kiss, yeah, all of those ones, like all of those Kiss videos from that time. I couldn't believe they made a video for All Night. I'm like, really,
Uh,
guys?
that was
That
alright.
song?
I mean, I love, but the thing is, once again, is like I look back on it as sort of like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cringy to watch, but at the same time, it's
Feel it
cool.
falling up out of the water. Like, yeah, that's cool. And
Yeah, that was cool. But in a weird way, like that video is still like simultaneously kind of bad and cool as hell to me. Like it's just so blatant, and I kind of like that. So
well,
that's why,
Kiss,
like Autograph is actually that one's a little bit difficult to watch. But
well,
some of
there's
it I
a lot
think
of
is
bad videos
endearing.
like that. Quiet Riot. I mean, look at their videos. They were so terrible. Like you just the guy with the giant speaker that's like getting bigger and bigger in his room. Then he goes through it and he's at a Quiet Riot concert, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's just
But
funny. Kevin Dubrow. If you look at Kevin Dubrow, he looks like your cousin from Jersey or something. A metal singer. He's just like this goofy, emotive guy with like a bald head and curly ringlet hair on the sides of his head. You're like, okay, whatever.
yeah,
And
but at the same time, you got to kind of almost hand it to him for just owning that look. Like
well, he
he,
does. He's crazy. He had these great facials. Like, and what's funny is I think he probably got that from Slade. Noddy Holder, the singer of Slade, because he always made really weird, crazy faces and stuff, like mugging right in the camera. And
oh
that's
yeah,
where Slade wrote "Come On, Feel the Noise" and "Mama, We're All Crazy Now," two of Quiet
yeah,
Riot's biggest hits.
yeah, yeah. Well, Bang Your Head
But
was
there's
pretty
so many
good.
bad, and I gotta say it. I'm gonna say it again. Like Judas Priest, like they had some terrible videos, but they're like so bad they're fun to watch. But
Hot Rockin'.
Iron
You
Maiden
can't.
videos are so fucking bad. It's like with Eddie as their mascot, you'd think they'd do something cool. Every
So
single video they do has old black and white, some stupid old archaic movie, them playing, and just like silly
I love.
bullshit. And the video
I
for Two
love their
Minutes to
videos.
Midnight is so fucking dumb. And I love that
Seriously,
song. Yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid fucking video.
I think
Like,
it's
what
a
does it mean?
profound video, dude.
Huh?
Like, I mean, they're kind of talking about what we're talking about, like that War Machine, dude. Like
Yeah,
the
I
Power
know,
Elite, like
That's what the
they're
song's about.
capturing it.
The video is
Great.
just so dumb. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's part of its British humor too. Like sometimes British humor like goes off the charts, and you don't
Well,
really
yeah,
get.
they do use that. Like Bruce Dickinson's. Have you ever watched his Tattooed Millionaire video?
I've seen it probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's great, but it is. It's very British. It's almost like heavy metal Faulty Towers or something. But
And that's a really quick aside too. Is do you remember that Bruce Dickinson directed a horror movie called Crowley about Aleister Crowley?
yeah, I never saw the movie, but
I
yeah,
saw the movie and it's full of parts like that where they're kind of cringeworthy. Like there's one, and Aleister Crowley, of course, is also speaking of magic. He's the one who does a lot of the writings that Zero Comma, that band we were talking about, bases their magic on. So
guess who shares a birthday with Aleister Crowley?
you,
Yes, I probably said it before. Huh?
no, you haven't. I just,
Exactly 100 years apart, dude.
wow, you guys related?
I don't know. No, not that I'm aware of. I'm
You
just saying
are.
we were both born on the October 12th, exactly 100 years apart,
So
1875 and
speaking of
1970.
British, I got to throw this out there really quick. I just released Stygian Dark, a 7-inch record called Forensic by a band called Stygian Dark. It's comprised of people from bigger death metal bands, so Paganizer, Benediction, Dead End, and Wombbath. Like the 4 members, 1 member from each of those bands.
Yeah.
So it's pretty heavyweight recording. It's good old school brutal death metal. It's clear vinyl with red and black splatter. You can get it on my website, slaughterhouserex.storeenvy. But I wanted to put a. It turns out there was like a little foobar. Like we had a little problem with the artist. The artist is British.
Did you release Gore Lords of War too?
No, that's the album on another label. It's the bass player of the band, Alwyn, his label. So
yeah,
I just did
somebody's already uploaded Forensic on YouTube. Just like that.
No, of course. Well, that song Forensic is the flip side of the record. The other songs from their album, but the Forensic song is unique to that recording that I put out. Well, we had a problem. So the artist who did the cover, his name is Simon Wolf, known as Woven Claws. So if you look up his Facebook page, Woven Claws, or he has a website, you can see all of his artwork. He also did the Wombbath Warhound split 7-inch record I did a couple of years ago, the cover for that. Really great artist, but it turns out that we had a fuck up on this record I just put out where the art is credited to somebody who did the art for the CD and not this guy who should have the credit, Simon Wolf, who did this EP that I released. So I guess what happened was like he got his stuff in the mail. I sent him the copies of his record. He's like, oh yeah, they look great, except I'm like, oh no. And he's like, the art's credited to some other guy. I'm like, he's like, who's this guy? I'm like, oh, I don't know. What do you mean? So I looked at it, and sure enough, it doesn't say Simon Wolf or Woven Claws. I'm like, what the fuck? How did that happen? So I started asking the band members, and they're like, I don't know. And like, it turns out, I think probably what happened was the guitarist cut and pasted some of the stuff and sent me the files a long time ago. And I kind of sat on this record for a while because I had so much shit going on. The vinyl industry was like upside down. You had to be on a list, like waiting for a year just for them to look at your project.
Yeah.
And then I was also right when COVID happened, like, and I bought a house, like all this shit went down that this record got so delayed. So I kind of never noticed it. And I hurried and just kind of got it out like just recently. And yeah, I'm like, there's a big glaring mistake on there. I'm like, so I guess the guy who sent me the files from Paganizer like didn't catch it. He cut and pasted it, and I just like put it on there and gave it a quick look and said, oh yeah, it looks all good. There's no typos, art by, produced by, yada yada. And like I didn't really read the names. So I went ahead and released it. I'm like, oh shit. And I felt so bad because now he doesn't get any credit for it. So I made a Facebook post about it. But I guess maybe do it here too. So yeah, it's
yeah, I just followed him on Facebook here. So
read me the link. What's the website for his personal website for his art?
His personal website?
Yeah. Look on my page. You'll see I post.
Yeah. Okay, so his page is like wovenclawsartist.wixsite.com/metalheart.
Woven Claws, just Woven Claws artist, I guess. If you Google that, it'll probably take you.
Yeah,
yeah. Simons, I'm sorry. Totally big fuck up there. Sorry, buddy. I owe you.
Got cool art though.
It is cool art. It's kind of dumb because it's my fault for not catching it, but I didn't actually make the error to begin with, but I didn't catch it on the way out the door to get pressed. I was like, oh fuck, no, and I just pressed like 250 of them. Like fuck. Like I hate when shit like that happens. Like it hasn't happened much. I've had one minor thing like that in the past, but that's it. You're like, oh, other than like when bands send you multiple copies of the same thing and you use the wrong one, but that's kind of. You know, I have a stack of blank Malignant.
I need to check out this Paz Cartel band that he's done. They look like kind of good rock and roll.
He looks like he's done some power metal-ish sounding stuff if you're looking at the website.
This band looks cool. Austerum. He look like kind of good old school death metal, like that cover.
But he is a great artist. He lives in England. Simon Wolf, WOLFE, Woven Claws. You can see it on Facebook. You can check out his personal website. So yes, Simon, I apologize. It was an oversight. Anyway, getting back to some videos. I was also on that Excite videos, and you're going to be proud of me here. is I didn't notice, but they had different selections of metal videos. So I'm like, oh, look, you can watch other shit. Like you can see 90s metal, you can see 2000s metal, there's beat down metal, and then there's like a death metal one. So I put on the death metal one. A lot of it was just like Whitechapel and shit that's not really death metal, but I'm like, all right, well, here's Cannibal Corpse. Let's watch that. And the song was like Blood Boil or something.
What?
Does that
What?
sound? What is it?
Okay, hold on. So it's
Blood
Cannibal.
something. It had to be a newer
Oh,
one.
it was their most new one, which is
Eric,
Cannibal
Blood.
Corpse,
What?
Blood Blind.
Yeah, Blood
Yeah,
Blind. Okay,
that's
I knew it was new because Eric Rutan's in it. I can tell Eric Rutan every time. So that song, I noticed you were telling me they've slowed down. They did slow down. So it looks like my old synopsis of Cannibal Corpse going for the jugular, like every song, like that's gone. Because that was actually a really good mid-tempo, kind of slow, heavy,
oh, dude, that and
kind of pushing song.
that's where I think Cannibal Corpse is the best, is when they
Because
back off
I'm
just a
like,
touch
this is
when it's like
good. I like
groovy.
this shit. Like, I'm not into Hammer Smash Face and all that, but this is pretty fucking good. It's like heavy, just
But Hammer Smash
cool as
Face
fuck.
has that great groove too, like
Yeah, there was that. And I like the end too because it just has that weird like that
yeah,
seven, like the movie Seven.
yeah,
Well, it's got like that cinematography. It's kind of like the movie Seven, like the credits of Seven, the movie, where it's like all like this film's all like sketchy and kind of skipping around, but Corpse Grinder's just standing there staring at you for like a full like 10 seconds almost with his hair in his face. It just
yeah,
looks so cool and so dark and it had that red tint. I'm like, that's fucking cool. That's a badass video. That's a cool
it
song.
did. Yeah, I mean, I would
So
say
now
like,
I'm gonna have to check it out. And also Cannibal Corpse and Mayhem are touring together. So what do you think about
yeah,
that?
that's that's got to be pretty killer, actually.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to check that show out. I also
Yeah,
haven't heard Mayhem in years, probably since like the early '90s when I first, used to play their stuff and attempted talking to them. But
yeah. What did I listen to recently? Like, I just clicked on a random like black metal band. Oh, it was like a new Marduk. Never really checked them out. It was good. They got a new, they just dropped a new single.
they also have a lot of albums out. Like the stuff I've heard in the past, like way back in the '90s, like black metal was all kind of sounding the same, much like death metal was. But some of these bands have endured. Like Marduk's been around forever, and Marduk are one of those bands who are like always under fire for being Nazis, and like
Mm,
I don't think they are. They just sing about war and stuff. They happen to put
yeah.
a German Panzer tank because that was a particularly brutal period of our history, fairly
Mm.
recent. So of course they're going to sing about it in a metal band. But and this is what we talked about before: is like maybe their drummer, whoever it was that was accused of being into Nazi shit, like maybe he was a collector of it. I think is really what it was. But
Or yeah, I mean,
I,
it's a fascinating. I mean, if you're into history, it's a huge part of history. It's just like Lemmy. Collected all
yeah,
sorts
let
of
me have
Nazi
that
names.
stuff. And I was thinking too,
He
the
ain't a
other night,
Nazi, or like Donald Trump. He's not a Nazi. You know, they're
well,
all
Trump.
misunderstood.
Yeah, you keep slipping
Well,
that in there. Like you're not going to win that one with me, pal.
I know.
Well,
Well,
anyways, like you do have a point about Lemmy because I saw that picture the other night on the internet. There was a picture of Lemmy. He had like a Nazi helmet and like a swastika flag, and like there were people moaning and groaning about it. I'm like, fuck off! It's Lemmy. What's he gonna do? They sing about that shit all the time. They have the guy, their monster head, has an iron helmet on his head. That's a German Nazi helmet. Just like Slayer's guy has a German Nazi helmet. That little monster dude that's on Slayer's albums. I mean,
hmm,
this is where we're at. It's like we were talking about this on the last show that I put up, which we were talking about black metal. I'm like, how far do you go putting someone on trial? I mean, okay, so the drummer of the band happens to have made an off-color racist joke one time in his life. What does that mean? He's a Nazi, and that the whole band needs to get canceled?
which who made that joke?
No one. I'm just making. I mean,
Uh,
and particularly Marduk is in a lot of shit by like people like Antifa and all these other people saying they're Nazis.
uh,
And I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think they are because they've always been around. They've always been just singing about like whatever. And I've never heard anything that make me think they're Nazis. Now, maybe their drummer said something on his own Facebook page or person to person somewhere. I don't know. But that doesn't mean the band as a band deserves to
It
get
doesn't mean
canceled.
anybody. I mean, they're a fucking black metal band. I mean, they're supposed. I mean, you got to let these people shock you. Let them
that's the
sing
whole
about
point. That's
horrific,
what black metal was about. Black metal
dark,
was
evil
hateful
stuff.
music, but only in terms of like just people. It was never about like the Jews or gays or whatever the fuck. It was always just people. All of you suck. I want you all to die, and Christians, of course. But that's fodder for metal. It always has been. You know, it's like they're not actually going out and murdering people. I mean, the only persons who did that was Burzum and
Yeah, there's a
Emperor.
few. Yeah.
so, um, so I don't know. I just was listening to that show I just put up, and we were talking about that, and like just mentioning Marduk. Like Marduk's one of the bands that are always under fire for that. I don't know them personally. I don't know if they are or not, but so far from what I've seen lyrically and of them personally, like it does not look like they're fucking like promoting the rise of the Fourth Reich to me. So
No, they're promoting kind of individuality and just and being true, like.
And there are plenty of bands who do exhibit
Are there?
swashed. Actually, there's not. I'm saying
mean,
that as
that's
a
the thing.
disclaimer, but
I
there's
always
really
been
not when you think about it. I don't know
like,
who there are. I don't follow that kind of shit, so
like
maybe
the
I
stuff
don't know.
is
Like when
bad,
you and I were arguing about Burzum on the last show I just put up, or not arguing, but you were saying like, well, yeah, he wrote this paper in prison about white nationalism. I'm like, well, okay, maybe he did. I don't follow him. I only liked his first four records, and even then, it was only because I liked him because that.
Honestly, how many people are actually buying into that stuff? Like,
well, that's the thing is I was talking about how I like Burzum's records because back then no one said anything. It was just black metal. So of course I liked his music. I'm like, well, it's cool. And then all that shit came out. I'm like, well, what do you do? Am I allowed to like it still? Am I in
yes,
trouble?
you are. Absolutely, you are. And that's, I think,
But
that's
you
where we
can't.
got.
That's what I'm saying. You can't even talk about it on Facebook.
I know. I mean, and
It's
that's
illegal.
kind of almost, that's almost where I need to, like, there needs to be that, like, that line drawn. Like, you can like the art and you can not approve of the artist. I don't think, like, you can like Michael Jackson and still think he's
That's another one. That's funny
You know what
too
I mean?
to say that because Michael Jackson.
You can like Ted Nugent songs and not like the fact that he's a right-wing nut job. You can like Burzum and not like the fact that Varg went off the deep end and murdered someone and kind of got in a weird white nationalist sort of thing. The music exists, and the
thing is too is
quality
his
is
music.
there.
His music doesn't talk about that stuff though. That's the thing is like that's why I always just kind of thought he was just saying shit in the press because that's the kind of person he was in the past. And this is not me making excuses for him. I'm just saying it's just that's what I'm sizing this up to be. Is this just someone was getting attention back then? That's how the movie portrays it, the Lords of Chaos movie. But be all that I mean, now he says shit that's like, yeah, no, I'm not into that. No, sorry, I'm not gonna proclaim that I like his music, but I do like those first four records. But he doesn't talk about anything like that on any of his music that I know.
If it's good, if it's good music, it's good. Like I mean, if you love the Dixie Chicks and are a so what? Keep listening to the Dixie Chicks. Like I cannot wrap my head around the dropping, like, something you enjoy because you don't like who created it. Like if it was good back then, it's still good.
Well, I mean, musically, yeah, it's the thing, but I mean, you have ethics and stuff that you stand by, and if it goes against that, it makes you feel guilty for liking it. So that's what I mean. It's like, and I told you this before, is like I had a good black metal station. My Bathory station on Pandora would play Burzum, Mayhem, all this black metal stuff, and it went together really well with like Bathory, Possessed, Dark Angel, all this old thrash.
Well, and here's the thing, like, dude, I bet you anything, like if Varg never murdered Euronymous.
Right? Dude, the murder is irrelevant. The murder was bad. He murdered someone, but it's the Nazi shit that bugs me. It bugs all the people. Like the murder is like inconsequential.
Yeah, but
not that Euronymous deserved it, but
dude, he got on the Nazi kick in prison, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't really know.
Like all those black metal bands were flirting with like kind of like that fascistic sort of.
Early on, they were doing it because they figured out that Satanism
because it was shocking.
Yeah, Satanism was shocking. Anton LaVey is about like love yourself and take care of your family, and we're not cruel to animals. We don't burn down churches, and they were like, "Fuck this place."
And then you look at the bands from that era, like Mayhem and Marduk and Emperor and all that. They evolved out of it. They grew out of it. They were dumb kids, and they kind of probably even recognize it at that point. You know, they're like, yeah, we were just doing whatever crazy shit we could because we were full of hate and anger and piss and vinegar and darkness and evil, and you know, we wanted to go all in. But you look at
Also, you got to put it
you know, you don't pull up an ISON album, you know, and like I guarantee, like I really think that Varg, if he wouldn't have done the murder, like if he would have maybe changed his mind, we'd be listening to Burzum the same way today. Like he would probably even turn into like an ISON, you know, probably making some sort of like avant-garde, progressive, folk black metal kind of thing, or something.
That's hard to say.
But we isolated him, and he had too much time on his hands, you know.
No, I don't really think that's what happened. I think he was into that stuff already.
But all of them were, dude.
But that's my point. Is I think everybody was into Satanism until they read the Satanic Bible, and then they figured out, oh, it's not about torturing Christians and burning down churches. It's all kind of like practical. So that's when there's one CD where it has Anton LaVey crossed out on the back, where it says no fun, no core, no mosh, no trends. They always had something on the back of each release on Death Like Silence that had something crossed out. Like Scott Burns was one of them. There's a smiley face, a peace sign, a cross. So they did that, and then they figured, well, we got to make black metal more shocking and more evil and hateful. So, of course, what's the next thing that's more real that you can grasp? Of course, it's going to be the Aryan, the Nazi thing. So they did that, and most of the bands got out of it because it was too real.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean. Like I'm saying,
some stuck with it. I don't know. That's what I mean. That's where I got off the bus with that. And
right,
black metal.
But most of
black metal back then. I was like, I'm not into black metal right now. I like these bands. I know they're not like that. This other shit. And that's what happened with Eric. They were going to sign Burzum until they met him, and he stared talking about that. And they were like, nope, see ya. So that's why I mean, it's probably.
I'm just saying he might have. I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, I don't know. I haven't read a recent interview with Varg, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he is distancing himself from it now. Like, I mean, people.
I doubt it, but I don't know, because
people have bad ideas throughout their
only
life.
old interviews I've read with him, he didn't talk about that. That's what I mean. That's back in the day when I was into his music, when there was none of this shit going on. So it was a whole different metal scene back then. The black metal scene was totally different. You know, then it became this thing with like the divisions, like the haters and the non-haters, or whatever. But
and now it's almost like a neutral, like it's become just a style of music, you know, that doesn't really necessarily,
like, there was a time when Fenriz got Darkthroat in trouble because he was talking about record labels and said that they had obviously, God, I can't talk tonight. He said they have obviously Jewish behavior. So then he got into big trouble for that because everybody heard it and there was an uproar. So Peaceville, who was their label still at the time, made them issue an apology where Fenriz sheepishly like explained the term Jewish, like how you say, oh, you Jewed me or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, that's what it means these days. And most people who say it probably don't mean it hatefully, but it's still not exactly a nice thing to say because it's piece of people. So Peaceville was not down with that. And then
and he's shaped up, you know, so he's not using that kind of. I don't like that term personally, you know. Like,
I never use it. I mean, I never got into any of that racial shit. I'm just like, whatever. The biggest one for me is I've used the F word a lot, as far as it pertains to gays, but not towards gays. It's just like a name we called each other in junior high and grade school.
It's a product of our upbringing. Yeah.
Well, it is.
It's like saying something's gay. Like, hey, that album. Do you like this album? Or there's the new the new Judas Priest album. Have you heard it? Yeah, man, it's kind of gay. You know, but.
Yeah, that too. It's like that too. It's like you don't mean it.
But in the case of Judas Priest, all their albums are kind of gay.
Oh, you know what's funny is, speaking of that, you actually called it. Speaking of Judas Priest, like the song "Pain and Pleasure."
Yeah.
You said that Rob got hurt, and it was on that album that a lot of his lyrics were like his soul exposed, and I think you were absolutely right, because the song "Pain and Pleasure," there's a line where he says, instead of messing around, practice what you preach.
Hmm.
And now that I read Rob's book, I totally know what he's talking about in that song. He's talking about he met some guys back in that time.
Uh-huh.
And these guys would come to his house and spend the night with him, even sleep in the same bed. But when he tried to get close to him, they'd be like, no, no, no.
Yeah,
So
they didn't want to be. They probably had a double life, or maybe even wives.
sort of, but they weren't gay. But they were laying in bed with Rob Halford. And I don't figure why any man would want to do that. But okay, it's cool that he's a
I
metal.
would.
But,
It's Rob fucking Halford. I'd lay.
well, I
in bed.
wouldn't want to lay in bed with Gene Simmons. I mean,
I would. Kidding me?
well, yeah, you're a fucking lunatic, but I'm
JL,
not.
I'm Gene Simmons from Kiss. It'd be rad. No, no,
But
yeah.
that's the thing is these guys would get in bed with Rob and even cuddle with him, but when he wanted to kiss him or have sex, they'd be like, no, no, no. I think that kind of put him off. That's why he was forced to go to like bathrooms and rest stops and stuff and try and get laid.
There's like a few songs on that album though that just seem like really is just like heart wrenching. Like Take These Chains.
Yeah.
Fever. Fever's another one that just kind of really is emotional to me. I love that song. And I generally don't like the Judas Priest ballads too much, but on those albums, goddamn, they're heavy.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Before the Dawn from Hellbent for Leather, that's a pretty decent song, even though it's kind of really soft, gentle, but it just fits the album. It's like that cool little soft ballad right before the big heavy song at the end, Hellbent for Leather.
Yeah.
It is summer. It's my time to listen to Judas Priest right now. So I'm like really knee deep in the Stained Glass, Hellbent for Leather, and of course the one song from British Steel that I like, The Rage.
Yeah, the fucking reggae.
That's a cool song. I don't know. It's just it speaks to me. That's just my thing. I don't know.
It's really it's an interesting song. Like I said, it's like it's hard to even call it a metal tune.
It's really not, kind of.
I mean, and it kind of almost has like a Police feel or something to it, like Roxanne. It's Judas Priest's Roxanne.
Well, like I said, I mean, that was their poppy album, British Steel, so they may have been going for that angle, and then the next album, Point of Entry, it was complete and total pop drivel, and that's what they were going for, was a hit single.
Point of Entry was? I need to
well,
listen to
all
that
the
one
songs
again.
on there are so light and gentle, and they're happy and chipper and poppy.
I don't know, like headed out to the highway is pretty heavy. It's
that's
almost
like the one song on the record that's kind of metally. That and Desert Plains, the rest is all just like, you're my little troubleshooter, and stuff like that. Like,
I might like
just a weak record, very weak. And even Rob said that in his book. So he said he was just on autopilot when he wrote that and just crapped out those lyrics. And that's that.
I need to read his book because I'm kind of like, me, like I'm the one that like sort of, I'm a champion of Turbo. Like I stand,
You got to read KK's book and Rob's book. They both are, talk about that in depth. And like KK's book is funny because he always complained about how Glenn Tipton would always do the leads and he'd never get to do a lead. And if you really pay attention, every fucking video, it's always Glenn who plays the lead. I'm like, what the fuck? He's right.
Yeah. Look at Painkiller, dude.
Yeah, Painkiller. That video came on my video channel the other night and I watched that. I'm like,
what a great video, though, man. That one's still
I thought Painkiller had the guys in the car playing the girl like a guitar. What Judas Priest video is that? Is that Nightcrawler?
What? Guys playing a girl like a guitar?
There were these long-haired dudes in the car, in the back of the car, banging their head to Judas Priest, and there was this hot girl with them, like wearing leather and denim, but they were holding her sideways, playing her like a guitar. That's all I remember from the video. And I thought it was Painkiller, but maybe it's Nightcrawler.
I gotta find out.
And this is another weird thing too, is Ozzy came on, and I'm like, I thought there was a video by Ozzy for See You Tomorrow. Am I wrong?
See You Tomorrow?
See You Tomorrow from the album Osmosis. I could swear there was a video for that. I remember seeing it.
I don't know, man. Like, dude, after No Rest for the Wicked, I don't really...
Because he had a song for See You on the Other Side, and that was See You on the Other Side, I'll see you. Like that song. Zach Wilde's in it, and apparently Geezer Butler played bass on that album. I didn't know that because he's in there. But then I could swear the other song, See You Tomorrow, because I remember it was on the radio, so I thought it was a single. And I could swear I saw a black and white video with Ozzy with black hair. He dyed his hair black and had like almost corpse paint on, like just black stuff around his eyes, and his face was white. I remember that. I swear it was that song, but maybe I must be wrong because I could not find it on YouTube. It does not exist as far as I can see.
I'm just going through all the Judas Priest. I don't think it's in a Judas Priest video.
Yeah, it has to be. I remember that. It was something from that record, or maybe it was Ram It Down. I thought it was from Painkiller, but it was two dudes with long hair in a car listening to Priest, and they were playing this girl.
I wonder if it's Johnny Be Good.
No, I don't think it was that.
Oh, that's just Alive.
Johnny Be Good is just them dicking around and playing, but that was a terrible song.
Another thing coming now. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the video for Another Thing Coming.
Rock Forever? No. Rock Forever? No, that's not good. That's one of their very old ones. It's not locked in. I don't know, dude.
Newer ones. It's either Ram It Down or Painkiller, like from that album, those albums. But
it wouldn't be on Painkiller.
I thought it was. I swear it was on Painkiller.
Let me just see. Ram It Down. I don't think there is an official video for Ram It Down. Oh no, there is.
It's like a song off that album, maybe I thought, but I just know it was newer Priest. It was after Turbo. It was some song from an album after Turbo, but it was two guys playing a girl like a guitar in the back of a car listening to Judas Priest. And I thought it was Painkiller, but I think there might be a video for Nightcrawler. Is there a video for that?
Nightcrawler? No, I don't. They weren't doing really cheesy videos back then. Maybe let's see. Oh, okay. Here's. No, this is one of those fan-made videos. Never mind. No, I don't know, dude. I don't think there is one. I don't think it's. It sounds familiar, like that scene or that image, like sounds familiar, but I just don't think it was a. I don't think it was a Judas Priest video. Maybe it was Hot Rockin'. I don't know, but Hot Rockin' is the one that I was like can't watch that video without thinking. I mean, that one's very homoerotic. Check out Hot Rockin'.
Oh, I've seen that. They have a video collection
where they're in the shower and they're like all lifting weights and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Rob's in the shower, like yeah.
Yeah.
Just the video, just themselves, just look so old and bad from back then, just because of the video quality. But like same with new wave videos, like all the old Susie and the Banshees videos and just all that old stuff. It just looks so crusty But yeah, Another Thing Coming, that video came on, like when they blow up the guy, the inspector or whatever he is, like Rob flails his limbs at him, the guy blows up and his pants fall down. Like I remember that was they didn't expect that to happen, and like they thought it was great, so they kept it in the video because when his head blew up, the mannequin fell down, his pants fell off.
Yeah. No, it's not Hot Rockin', although it should be. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man.
So what other videos come to mind? I know there was Wasp, Twisted Sister, Queensryche's been on a couple of times, like Eyes of a Stranger.
Yeah, but those aren't really bad videos. Like even the Wasp ones.
Bad. I mean, it's just a time capsule. There were some
bad in a good way.
Yeah, those weren't really bad videos. I can't remember who the other ones were now, but like there was Blue Oyster Cult. That was particularly a bad one. Take Me Away. Did you ever see that one?
Well, that was Christopher Cross.
The guy is. No, that's Sailing.
Sailing Away. Oh, never mind.
Blue Oyster Cult. Come on, take me away. It's like really heavy guitar song. It's a good song. The video is just really fucking dumb. It's like the guy. What's the singer's name? The guy with the big afro, the white guy. He always has the sunglasses on, the beard.
I don't know. I only know their guitar player, Buck Dharma.
And that's funny because they look like a bunch of like guys that are playing cards, like Blue Oyster Cult. Same with I think Kansas or somebody came on one night with some song I didn't know. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, there's like, or maybe it was Toto. It was one of those two. It was just like, what the fuck? No, it was Kansas.
Yeah, I like both those bands. I love Kansas.
Well, there was a Kansas video, and it was a song I'm not familiar with very much, but it was a video. They were on a giant checkerboard or a chessboard. And then the band, they just look so dorky. Like there's a guy with short hair and a big thick mustache. He's kind of balding on top. It just looks like your dad or somebody, you know. And there's like the keyboardist is like this little frumpy dude, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, who are these guys?
People in the South, man. I'm trying to think.
It's funny if you watch like the Carpenters. You know, the Carpenters have a video here or there of them playing live, and there's like a guy in the background with really long hair, like totally going crazy playing a tambourine. Like, yeah, brother, grind that tambourine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
The Carpenters are like, you can't get more mellow than the Carpenters. It's like mom music.
I don't know. I might have to go on a deep dive of Kansas and listen to them a lot for a while.
Yeah, some of those Quiet Riot, Autograph, that was a pretty bad one. Haven't seen any Y&T yet.
There's some. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was actually listening to Y&T the other day. So I like
Twisted
Y&T.
Sister videos. I mean, they were all funny at the time.
Triumph, Somebody's Out There is a cheesy video. I don't know if you ever saw that one. But Y&T Summertime Girls is another one because back in the 80s they always kind of had to try to have like some kind of story concept, you know, like some kind of plot and dialogue. There was always like dialogue.
They either did or they didn't. That's the thing, that's why metal videos always drove me crazy, because 9 times out of 10 it was just them being filmed playing. And like, can you be a little more creative, guys? Like all these new wave bands are like, they have like stories in their videos, and there's like people and like acting, and there's all this stuff going on. And like metal videos, it's just them playing, mugging at the camera every time.
Sometimes,
like
but
Rat came on, Round and Round. I watched that one. You're in Love came on.
have you ever seen like how about Lee Aaron's Metal Queen video?
Is there a video for that?
Oh yeah, dude. She's hot. So that's why it's hard to even say that it's bad, because I'm like, okay, this is the 80s, you know, and she's just smoking, you know, she's the Metal Queen, man.
I think Accept has come on.
Yeah, but Balls to the Wall, that's still a good video. Like, that's not a bad video.
AC/DC, they play a lot of AC/DC, like especially from Back in Black, and like that's funny because it's just them playing on a stage, like every song. But just watching them play when they were younger, they were so just energetic, and like they were really doing the backing vocals. I'm like, this is kind of different from what they are now, almost. You know, it's.
Oh, I love those old AC/DC videos.
Like Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and whatever the other song is, Hell's Bells, I think, was on there.
Yeah. Yeah, Shook Me All Night. Then there's like
the docket videos; those weren't very good.
The Fly on the Wall videos. There's on the Fly on the Wall album, I think they did a video for every song on that album, and they're pretty good. It's almost like a concept album in a weird way, which is a great album though. Didn't we talk about that? Like,
oh, we did.
Underrated album,
Lake, right?
What?
So that's their Cold Lake or their Turbo, right? AC/DC's biggest, most glammy album.
Dude, it's another one of those things. Like, it sounds exactly like an AC/DC album. Like,
oh yeah, it does. I mean,
fucking like, they literally have not changed their sound. Like, they might have had longer hair. Maybe they didn't even really look different. Like Brian Johnson looks the same. Like, on every album, he always wears that little cap. You know, the hair length of Angus Young was longer. You know, but other than that, dude, Fly on the Wall is a fucking AC/DC album, and I'll fight anybody that tries to say they sold out or anything on that album. It's a great album. Check it out. Listen to it.
I don't think they sold out. It just seemed like it was like a slight bit more commercial from what I remember, but you know, I wasn't really a big AC/DC fan, so.
I love AC/DC.
Oh, now here's the other one is Van Halen videos. Those are pretty
cool. They're excellent though. They're
no.
Really? No, the other one that's cringy to me for Van Halen is like the what's that I hate that song actually.
Jump?
No, I love that video is awesome. No, it's it's a Hagar song, one of the later areas. It was Right Here, Right Now. You know, with the piano.
That
and
doesn't even
it's-
count. Fuck Van Hagar. That's the worst. That shit's like the epitome of sold out, gutless, scrotum cut off, like sold out fucking pop, formerly rock band. Fuck that shit. The worst.
I love it. I love a lot of the Hagar stuff, but
5150 was so fucking lame. I hated that shit.
are you
so
kidding
bad.
me?
No, I'm not kidding.
Listen to the song 5150. That's actually probably the song 5150 might have my favorite.
Run away. Fuck that.
No, the song 5150 has one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite all-time guitar riffs of anybody. Is the song 5150. It's so good. It's not even. I don't know. Can't even tell you how good it is. It's the.
Well, their videos were pretty cheesy. There was one. I don't even remember what it was now. It was some older song. I was surprised to see a video for it, but it was. I don't even remember now. It was like they were each like these weird professions, like Alex Van Halen was Tarzan and Eddie Van Halen was like a cowboy, or they all got together and like rescued this.
Oh, yeah, it was like one of those things that I think it was at the end of Jump or Panama.
No, it was none of those. It was something before that record, but it was. I don't remember. I only saw that one once, but it was.
Yeah, it was like Michael Anthony as like a sumo wrestler.
Yeah. What song was that?
I think it was Panama. Let me just double check here.
Panama is just them on the stage fucking around.
Or it might have been Hot for Teacher. It was Hot for Teacher, dude.
Nope, it's not that one either.
Sure?
Positive. It's nothing from that record.
It is. It's Hot for Teacher. I'm watching it right now.
It's not. I'm telling you, dude.
Dude.
Hot for Teacher is Eddie, all the little kids in school, Waldo on the bus, and like Eddie walking down the table playing.
How much? How much you want to bet?
I'll bet you like $100.
You Venmo me. No, you Venmo me $20. I'll prove it to you. Go pull up the video right now. Pull up Hot for Teacher.
I am very familiar with Hot for Teacher, Panama, and Jump. None of those are the one I'm talking about.
Dude, I swear to God.
You're looking it up right now. Just look. You know you're wrong.
Okay. How much?
$100 if I'm wrong or right. Either way, I pay you.
Yeah. Okay. Seriously?
I know that you're wrong. It is not. It's not any of those three songs. It's not Jump, because Jump's just them on the stage playing. Panama, for the most part, is this live shit of them playing. David swinging around on the thing.
I will. Fires. I will tell you my Venmo right now.
Kids, and then the hot teacher comes up and dances on the desk, and he plays his solo. And at the end, and they're wearing the red suits doing the dance, and at the end, everybody's in the hospital. No, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I know.
My username is.
Hold on.
Tarkus2112.
We're not talking about the same thing. At the end of Hot for Teacher, yes, Michael Anthony was a sumo wrestler. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to another video where it was a girl being attacked by somebody, and then she calls David Lee Roth, and he gets his buddies, which is Van Halen, and in that, Michael Anthony was like a samurai or something, and like Eddie Van Halen was a cowboy, and Alex was like Tarzan. He controlled animals, and they all got together and attacked this dude that was harassing this girl, and they saved the girl. What song is that? It is not from 1984. It's before that record. That's what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about. At the end of Hot for Teacher, Michael Anthony was a sumo wrestler, so you're right.
It's Pretty Woman, I think.
Maybe that was it. You're right. I think it was Pretty Woman. It was a cool song, too. I'm like, why would they make a video for this, let alone this video? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I think that is what it was. It was the Roy Orbison song.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Whatever.
So I know what you're talking about. I forgot about that, the ending where everybody like had their career. Like Eddie was in an institution, and Alex was a doctor or something. And
all right, you don't know me anything.
Of course not. A book I'm reading. I just started it. It's called And Party Every Day, as in I want to rock and roll all night and party every day.
Is it the second Paul Stanley book?
No, it's a book about Casablanca Records in the 70s. It was written by a guy who used to work there. So it's not about Kiss particularly, but there's a lot of Kiss in there, as well as Donna Summer, Village People. So I've only just started reading it, but it's talking about how Neil Bogart, who ran that label, was like going crazy with cocaine. Everybody was doing cocaine. The weird thing about this book is I heard about that on Eddie Trunk's radio show a couple of years ago, and I could never find that book. It was never available anywhere. I had to pay almost $200 to get this book.
Whoa.
And it's the only one anywhere on the internet I could find other than a beat up library book copy that was beat to shit and had one of those gross plastic covers on it.
Yeah.
So I bought this one, and it must mean that this book was squashed. And I wonder if it was Kiss, maybe?
It's gotta be, dude.
Or Donna Summer's estate, because I know Donna Summer kind of went religious towards the end of her career and like forsook all that stuff she did.
Did she date Gene Simmons?
I don't remember if she did or not. I think they were closely.
Or was that Diana
No,
Ross?
Diana Ross and Gene Simmons totally dated. Diana Ross and Gene were a thing after Gene and Cher.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
That's Kiss and Sell. I told you about that book. There's a book called Kiss and Sell that Kiss also hates because it tells the truth about the shit that went on behind the scenes. But a lot of that is in there about Gene's relationships. But Donna Summer was just a disco star. She was on Kiss.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she was friendly with Kiss, but I don't think they had a thing.
Yeah, I like Donna Summer.
But towards the end of her career, she totally went religious and started doing like religious music and like was apologetic for all the shit she did in the 70s. I'm like, fuck that. Get out of here. But anyway, this book is like embarking upon that. I just wonder if maybe that's what happened, is like either her estate or is like Kiss or both of them somehow had this book like squashed because you cannot find it anywhere. Like Eddie Trunk mentioned it and I never saw it ever. I'd never seen it mentioned anywhere. It's like hard as fuck to find, but I got it. So I started reading it the other night.
That's interesting. Okay. All right, man. It's been good. It's good hearing from you again, man. I missed you.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I like you just fine.
Wiped your ass with my face with your politics tonight, you motherfucker?
Yeah, you're all right.
Oh, yeah?
You're all right.
All right, well, watch out for the skinwalkers out there. Don't talk to it. They'll try and trick you and sound like your ex-girlfriend or something.
We'll find a nice quiet trail and, I don't know, smoke some DMT or something.
And also, look at some of those suggestions I sent you and that music I sent you. You should listen to some of that because we can have something to talk about instead of...
I will.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, man.
K-Man?
K-Man. Caveman. Okay, man.
The K-Man. I'm Kramer. Osmo Kramer, the K-Man.
Yeah, because you dropped all those N-bombs. No, just kidding. You know.
Oh, boy.
All
right. Well,
okay, we'll see you.
We're going to be seeing you later.